We still have a lot to get into. So mailbag sponsored by Hampton by Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Here's the number one question that comes in the mailbag, and I think you guys will get a kick out of this. It comes in and says, hey, Joel, we're sure you had to fuel up for breakfast back in your QB days. What was your go-to pregame workout breakfast? We bet if you were playing today, it would be our apple cinnamon waffles. Listen, you wouldn't be off on that. Absolutely not. And in fact, I do have to tell you, like, I'm so thankful for Hampton by Hilton and the ability to stay at Hampton by Hilton, because here's something you got to know about me. I cannot function in the morning unless I have breakfast. And before I was staying in Hampton by Hilton's, I would have to like order breakfast. And I don't know if any of you have stayed in a hotel lately and had to order breakfast, but you can order like an oatmeal and it's $75. And there's all the gratuity and everything involved. And then you got to wait a half an hour. Not when I stay at Hampton by Hilton, because I can walk right downstairs. I get my cup of coffee. I get my regular waffle, which I love. I get a little syrup on there. And then I always have to have a little protein, a little pre-workout protein. And so I get eggs, waffle, coffee. That's how I roll. And I love it because it's the complimentary breakfast and it's hot and it's fresh and it's delicious. So that's why I love it. That's why I love it. Let's go to the next question in the mailbag. This one comes in from Aiden. He says, good morning, Joel. Good morning. Love the show. With the seeming parity in college football this year, do you think the expanded playoff came a year too late? Or does 10-plus teams vying for 4 spots make it even more exciting? Hail to Michigan. Okay, Aiden, I think that this is an absolute travesty that we don't have the 12-team playoff this year, because I believe that there are going to be more teams with more beef at the end of the year than ever before. In fact, when I start looking at the end of the season, when I start to look at the path, when you start to put the crystal ball together, here's what you see. You see that Georgia probably won't get tested. So while they're the defending national champion 2 times over, are we really going to know what Georgia is leading into the playoff? I'm not sure. I think we're going to have to lean on history with Georgia. Florida State has a relatively easy path, even with the caution flights flashing in our face the entire last month of the season. They remind me so much of the 2014 version of Florida State, and that team was escaping after escape after escape late in the year before they ultimately got housed by Oregon in that Rose Bowl, which was a national semifinal in the first year of the playoff. That's what it feels like. It feels like we're going to have some teams that are undefeated and get included because they're undefeated that we won't really know about. And then we're going to have teams like, let's say, out of the Big Ten East with Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State, like out of the Pac-12 with Washington, Oregon, USC, Utah, UCLA could you throw in there, Washington State. Sorry, I missed out. Washington State. And we're going to be looking at like the third place team in the pack and be like, wow, I would love to see what they could do in a playoff. And we're not going to have that chance. So I lament the fact that in the first year in my career covering college football, that we've had this much parity. When I've had 10 teams after the first month that are above the line teams, we still have to be in this sham 4-team playoff that we're going to have at the end of the year. Aiden, great question. And it brings up a lot of frustration for me as I look into the crystal ball at the end of the year. Last question comes in from Eric. Eric says, and this is a little bit more of the life advice, and I love doing this stuff. So he says, Eric, no, he doesn't say Eric. He says, hey, Joel. Eric says, hey, Joel, there we go. I just graduated college with my bachelor's degree and moved to a new state for a job. I really like this new place, but it doesn't feel like home yet. And after being here for a few months, I'm starting to miss my friends and my home state. I don't feel like my job has lived up to the expectations I had and what they described. Do you have any advice on this and post-grad life in general? Thank you. I'm excited for this giveaway. Ooh, Eric, more on that in a moment. More on the giveaway in a moment. Okay, let's talk about this for a quick second. If you're a post-grad and you are starting out your life as a professional, there are so many things that I can tell you. Here's what I would tell you that I'm starting to realize for myself. And some smart guys that I talk to will tell you this. Number one is, if you draw your identity in where you live or what you do, it will fall short. It will not fulfill you. So if you're looking to those things for your happiness personally, that's not going to come to fruition. Okay, that's number one. So what do you do about it? Well, Eric, I think that you have to clearly define who you want to be and what your goals are in life. You've got to picture your life 10 and 20 years down the road, and you've got to think to yourself, what do I want to be doing? What do I value? Do I value having a family? Do I value having a successful career? Do I value the place that I live? Do I value the climate in which that place is? What do you find important? Because just like a team has to know itself before it can know where it's going to go or how it's going to get there. Because remember, I say this about teams all the time. Who are you? Where are you going? How are you going to get there? Well, you got to clearly define for yourself what you want. And then once you clearly define that for yourself, then you can start to build your life into that mold. Now, a couple of things that I would also tell you. Number one, don't be afraid of new places. I think that young people, they can get too anxious with where opportunities are, where they're comfortable, where they know people, and they can fall into a rut of being comfortable versus going out and pushing themselves forward. I never thought I would leave Denver, Colorado. Now, I did for minor league baseball. I married the love of my life. We had a beautiful baby boy named Henry. And when he was just over a year old, I lived by my in-laws. I lived by my parents. I lived by all of my siblings, all of my wife's siblings, all of them. They were all there within like 10 miles. We had it was like Fox Sports calls and says, hey, we want you to move to Los Angeles. I'll be honest, it was incredibly difficult. It was incredibly difficult, but we were open to it. We were open to the challenge and we moved there. And while living in Los Angeles wasn't, my cup of tea, we ended up finding a place here in Orange County in Newport Beach. And guess what? I couldn't envision my life anywhere else. Now we have 3 children. We love the school that the boys go to. My wife loves her community. I love my community. We love our community. We found a church that we love and a group that builds life into us. None of that would have been possible if we would have put comfort over the challenge. And so I would just tell people don't be afraid to take on a challenge. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to not allow your surroundings to define you. Those are all the things that I would say. The rigidness that young people can have based on their comfort, I think is a detriment to their growth as people moving forward. So Eric, I don't know if any of that speaks to you, but I would just tell you, life is a great journey, man. And you got to know who you are before you can know where you want to go. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. And you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.